Okay. So first off, I'm sorry I had to cancel last minute last week. Life just kind of went chaotic at the last minute, so I wasn't able to join. So my apologies on that. But if you have any questions regarding the password managers or anything like that, don't hesitate to reach out. I did submit or did send over my email on Thursday, I believe it was, of the lockbox registration. I'll include that in this week's email as well. So for completing the program, you get access to a free waterproof, fireproof lockbox that you'll get at the end of the program. So if that's something that you need to store all your important documents, um, just register through that link and I'll get it delivered to you and all of that. So I'll send that link again in the follow-up to this. So this week, actually says week 2. Let me pull up week 3. Actually, this is the right one. I just didn't update to week 3. So this week, we're talking about life insurance, the importance of beneficiaries, and city resources. In your packets, you should have received the beneficiary list of all the benefits that have beneficiaries attached to them. To be sure, I cannot stress the importance of updating your beneficiaries. I encourage everyone to check it once a year, and usually annual enrollment or open enrollment is a good time to do that. We've had several situations where, life circumstances changed, whether they've gotten married, they've gotten divorced, the beneficiary they had named has passed away. And that is not a good place to be when possibly your ex spouse is the one getting that money instead of the current spouse, if that's not who you intended it to go to. So I just can't stress the importance of that. So we'll talk a little bit about that today or tonight as well. So jumping into a little bit about life insurance and just how important that is. So no matter who you are, how much money you make, life insurance is still important. I always get the question of how much life insurance do I need? It really depends on the person. That's something I would encourage you to talk to a financial advisor or financial planner on, because it depends on everyone's situations are a little bit different. And if you already have investments in the market, retirement, all of that. So life insurance is really there to help protect your family when you're no longer here, and protect them from financial hardship. So in the case if the unexpected happens, that life insurance policy could help to cover the financial expenses that would continue after your passing. So whether that's your mortgage, any personal loans that you have, if your family is planning to stay in the house, that would cover the bills and things like that. So how it works is the insurer, so whoever the company that you have your life insurance through, they agree to give your beneficiary a specific and fixed lump sum of money in the event of your death. So you will be through the city's life insurance. You're paying this fixed amount every week. Or if you have any policies outside the city, those could be paid on a monthly or annual basis based on how you have it set up. So just a little bit around who needs life insurance. So I just named out some different situations. If you're married, your surviving spouse's income may not be enough to cover any outstanding debt that you have, or it may not be enough to cover all your household expenses. Obviously, if you're married with kids, do you depend on those two incomes to make ends meet? And so they may need that life insurance money after your passing just to keep the household running. If you're a single parent, almost half of single parents have no life insurance. And so this could really be a good safeguard for your children's financial future, whether that's, helping them pay for college or helping whoever their guardian's going to be, for childcare and groceries and all of that. So I'm not going to read through all of these. I'm just basically stating every situation is different. And based on your situation, life insurance is still very, very important. So talking a little bit around term versus whole life insurance. So the city does have both of these options. And again, you can also shop outside the city as well. So we provide, let's first talk about the term life insurance. So it's just as it says, it's for a specific amount of time. So it usually covers for maybe 10, 20, they have 25-year policies, 30-year policies, and that provides a death benefit if you pass away during that specific term. So let's say I'm 40 and I just got a term life insurance policy for 30 years. And so say I live to be 75, then I've outlived the life of that policy. So when I turn 70 after that 30 years, that term life insurance would go away at that point. Term life insurance is much less expensive than whole life, because they're taking on less risk, and it's not for your entire life, it's for a specific amount of time. So the city does provide a basic life and basic accidental death and dismemberment coverage, and this is for all employees up to 2 times your salaries, up to $500,000. This is covered by the city. There's no cost to you, and you're automatically enrolled whenever you start with the city. The accidental death and dismemberment, this provides coverage from a death due to an accident, or if you are in a tragic accident where you survive but you've lost a limb or a function such as sight, hearing, or speech. Whenever you go in and make your annual enrollment elections, these are the life insurance and the accident AD&D are two separate. You have to select those separately. However, you can't have the AD&D coverage unless you have the life insurance. So just know that they go hand in hand. So a little bit around the whole life insurance. So this is permanent throughout your entire life, and it does not expire. If whole life is something that makes sense based on your situation, it's usually best to get whole life insurance when you're younger, because when you're younger, most of the time, the insurance companies you're much healthier. There's lower risk. You're probably on no to minimal medications. And so it's much cheaper to do it when you're younger versus doing it when you're in your 40s, 50s, and so forth. So this, throughout your whole life, the premium of that policy, so whatever you're paying on a weekly or monthly basis, it stays the same throughout the life of the policy. So it does offer a savings component, which is nice. So it does build cash value. So as the more over time, you're paying more into your premium doesn't change, but the cash value of the policy continues to grow. So if you ever need to cash in that whole life policy for an emergency or something like that, or take out a portion of that, you would have the option to withdraw those funds, or you could borrow against it. Questions thus far around life insurance? Okay. So just talking a little bit around the supplemental life insurance. So the one that I just spoke about was the basic life insurance that the city covers the cost of up to 2 times your salary, up to 500,000. You can also purchase supplemental life insurance and the AD&D coverage, and you can get it up to 5 times your salary, but it can't exceed 1.25 million. So a little bit around the guaranteed issue amount. is 600,000, not to exceed 3 times your earnings. So I'm going to talk through this a little bit. So whenever you make your annual enrollment elections, let's say that you want to purchase supplemental life insurance, and you want to get 3 times your salary. So if you haven't had supplemental life insurance and you're wanting to go to 3 times your salary and it exceeds that 600,000, then you would be subject to evidence of insurability at that point because you're increasing more than one level, if that makes sense. So if you started off you would still need evidence of insurability, even if you did 2 times your salary. But if you just went up one level the following year, you wouldn't be subject to evidence of insurability. And for EOI, it's usually your age and whether you're a smoker or not. And so if you increase more than one level, you are subject to EOI at that point. And once you enroll in the benefit, then you would receive notification in the mail from the company around next steps and things that you need to do to approve the policy moving forward. And then if you get questions about that, if that's something you would plan to enroll in 2025, feel free to reach out to me or anyone on the benefits team, and we can kind of talk you through that. They also offer supplemental dependent life and AD&D insurance as well. So you have different coverage amounts you'll see over here on the right-hand side. So there's 5 different options, and it's very, very affordable. And I did make a note here that I mentioned a few slides before. While those elections for life and AD&D are separate, you can elect AD&D without having supplemental life insurance. Here are just some of the benefits with Symetra that a lot of employees don't know about. If we do have an employee death, this is something we communicate with the spouse and the family member. Or if they're diagnosed with a serious illness where they may not have much longer to live. So maybe they've found out they have metastatic stage 4 pancreatic cancer and they're terminally ill, there's no treatment, then they could get an accelerated death benefit that provides a portion of that life insurance to that covered member before their passing. There is a beneficiary companion program that offers support services for those that have experienced a loss. So it's really like a support, like a grief support group, if you will. They have travel assist and identity theft protections as well. And this is something we always communicate to employees and their family members. So a little bit around the voluntary whole life insurance through Unum. These are subject to change for 2025 because we are currently going through an RFP for these services. So any updates, I'll have another Get Your Ducks in a Row program probably right before annual enrollment. And so if any of these are being updated, I can send you let me make myself a note. I can send you a follow-up on any changes that would be taking place to these benefits just for your own knowledge. So in 2023, we added coverage that was not just available to you, but also your spouse and your children. And again, this provides protection for a lifetime with a guaranteed renewal year after year. So the premium doesn't increase and it's for your entire life. There is an EOI, and that's based on your age and smoking status. That's how they determine the premium for that. So usually the younger you are, if you're a non-smoker, the better your rate's going to be because they assume you're healthier. And then you can purchase in increments. You can do 10,000, 25, 50, 75, or 150. And you can do this regardless of any of your current existing other life insurance policies. And then we have spousal coverage in 15 or 30,000 coverage amounts. And then there's also child coverage. And the amount of coverage depends on the kid's age, and it can vary between $1 to $3 each week. So just thinking again, we have so many stories and benefits around people who just didn't update their beneficiaries or didn't have beneficiaries listed. And your families are out of a whole lot of money that would have been very, very helpful if something were to ever happen to you. So just make sure in the event of if there's a birth, marriage, divorce, or a death, that your current beneficiary choices are who you want them to be. If you don't have named beneficiaries, it's transferred to your estate. And then the state law determines who receives that benefit. And it's not as simple. Some people assume that, oh, well, I'm married, so my spouse is automatically, the state's automatically gonna give my spouse that money. And that's not always the case. So again, please, please, please be sure you go through and update or make sure it's who you want it to say. This is also a handout that I included because I think this is very, very important. A lot of people don't understand what it means when you name a minor, so someone under the age of 18, as a beneficiary. So this may vary from life insurance to life insurance with different insurers, but it's basically the same throughout. Just the amount of money the guardian is getting may vary. So I know with Symetra through the City Life Insurance, if you have a minor named as a beneficiary, the full amount will not be paid out directly to the minor. So even if something happens and I'm taking care of my sister's child, and she named her son as the beneficiary, regardless if I'm taking care of him, I'm only going to get $200 a month for financial support and maintenance of him until he turns 18. I don't know if any of y'all have kids or just looking at how much groceries cost these days and such, but $200 won't even cover a week of childcare in most cases. And so that's something you really want to think about when you are making your beneficiary elections. And also, a lot of people will use some of the proceeds from the life insurance to pay for funeral expenses. And if you name a minor as a beneficiary, that cannot be used to pay for any final arrangements for you. So this is something you may want to discuss with an attorney or whoever's helping you with your will or your financial advisor. So if any of you have the MetLife legal benefit, we talk more about that next week in the estate planning to kind of wrap it up. But that is a great benefit, especially if you need to make updates to your will or you don't have a will. You need to name a power of attorney, those types of things. If you have the MetLife legal benefit, they can do all of that for free. So we'll talk more about that next week. And if you don't have that benefit, that may be something you want to consider for 2025. If you are looking at having your child as a beneficiary, it may make sense to establish a trust in the children's name and who's going to be caring for that child or for your kids in the event that both parents are deceased or in the event of a separation or divorce. So that way the guardian would get full access to the financial estate that you've left behind to care for your kids. So that's something you can also talk through with an attorney or financial planner and things to talk through next steps and what that may look like. So I did a screenshot of what that pamphlet looks like. I'll include the beneficiary in case you've misplaced or don't have a copy of it anymore. I'll send another copy of that document in the follow-up. So obviously periodically check your beneficiaries. You have access to update your beneficiaries through vendors and through SmartBin, which is now a Lite. And also don't forget to check your checking and savings account. That's something that actually, when I was doing all this a couple years ago, realized I didn't even have a beneficiary name for my checking and savings account. So if you're not sure how to do it, I know for me, I had to call the bank to kind of talk me. Their website was not very user friendly. So if you're having any trouble, just call your bank and they can talk you through all of that. If you want to know more, I don't think a lot of people know this, but there's a whole site for benefits education. So that's where we put any podcasts that we're doing around benefits. That's where I store all the Wellness Wednesday, the retirement briefs, any of the benefit briefs we're putting out, any updates to benefits and things like that, the newsletters, all of that. That's included in the benefits education tile. So if you go to CNET and click on benefits, you'll see it will take you to a link with other tiles and you'll see benefits education on there. I'll include that link as well in the follow-up. And then also included in your document was a financial wellness resource guide. The city has a lot of financial wellness resources. And so I compiled all the resources into one guide. So you're just aware of the various resources that you have. So that is available to you if you kind of want to look through that on just different financial resources that are available. The plan of attack for this week. The only bad thing about having this in 4 weeks is there's a lot of, I don't even want to call it homework, but there's a lot of work to be done in between each of these sessions. So if you haven't caught up from the last few weeks, you're still trying to work through your passwords and username and passwords and all of that, try to catch up on that before. I try to do some time blocking. So whenever I was doing this, I try to block off, an hour or two, maybe an hour a day for 3 or 4 days in a row just to knock out some of this stuff and be fully focused on it. And that usually helped me knock it out more so than trying to piecemeal it together here and there throughout the day or as I think about it. So if you haven't caught up with any of the plan of attacks before, be sure you're working on that. Check and update your beneficiary. So use that beneficiary checklist that I provided, and I'll send that in the follow-up email. So that checklist is only for beneficiaries that are specific to city benefits. So any policies or accounts you have outside the city, be sure you're checking those beneficiaries as well. And then, of course, adding beneficiaries to your checking and savings account. So next week, we'll get more in the details and the weeds of estate planning, your resources around wills, power of attorney, what all that means, and kind of next steps from there. So questions, if anybody posted anything in the chat. Yes, okay. It's hard to keep up with talking and questions in the chat. Any questions so far around beneficiaries, life insurance, city resources, anything like that? All right, I'm taking that silence as no. So if you have any questions, feel free to give me a call, shoot me an email, and let me know. And I will send a follow-up to this probably first thing tomorrow morning. And I will talk to you all next week.
Thank you, Nan.
You're welcome. Have a good one.
You too.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Good night.
Thank you.